I'm here with Gavin, and Gavin is a football agent, and you're accredited by FIFA.
Yes.
Brilliant. And Gavin is from South Africa, where it all happens. Gavin, what we're talking about today is Footiefunder.com. It's the platform for football fans all over the world, especially grassroots level teams, to be able to raise money to help their football teams to actually survive the climate that we're in. What do you think about that?
I think that's a fantastic idea, personally. I mean, we've just heard the speakers today talking about how the big teams sort of get all the revenue in terms of TV rights, in terms of, all the money that comes into the sport, especially here with Barcelona and them. The gap is so wide. And having traveled the world myself and spoken to a few teams and managers, it's very difficult to get it off the ground. And if you're not in the Premier Leagues in any country, you really, really struggle. And there's a lot of talent out there, and I think you guys have got a fantastic idea to identify that gap in the market.
You talk about there being a lot of talent out there. And from what I know, there's a lot of football talent out there. What we see on TV screens is just the tip of the iceberg. But yet, a lot of these teams don't have the money because, first of all, they don't even have a business plan. And even if they had the business plan to go to the bank will not even bother with them because they're not marketable now. They're not visible on television. So for a platform like Footiefunder.com, would you contribute to a project based in South Africa that is looking to raise finance for perhaps Orlando Pirates, for example? If Orlando Pirates was looking to do something in the community and they were looking for finance from people like you in the diaspora or from across the world, would you contribute to a project like that?
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, back home, there's a huge demand for such initiatives, and it's a very tough market. It's cutthroat, as you know. And you've also mentioned the banks. Funding a football team is not seen as a good proposition, a viable proposition, especially when you are not at the top. So to bridge that gap, to come up with these ideas where you say, okay, it's a global sport. It's easy for people to throw the word around, global sport, global sport. But when it's only a select few clubs that they can actually survive or can stay afloat. And having such an initiative for me is awesome. Dealing with the grassroots footballers, and there's quite a lot of discarded footballers out there who can't even get to academies, who can't even. But I'm sure this will also create an atmosphere that's conducive for them to be playing at the level they are at. They don't have to travel long distances like South Africa. I'm sure you're aware that most cities are far from where the traditional Bantu stands were during the apartheid time. So to bridge that, it's going to take some doing, and I think I would subscribe without a shadow of a doubt. I'll be involved in something like that.
But Gavin, are there any concerns you will have? For example, if you've contributed to a football project in any region in the world as a contributor, would you be concerned about any? Are there any concerns you have about such a project?
Um, from an agent point of view, well, my job is obviously to actually protect the players' best interest. If there is an atmosphere, like I said, that is conducive for them to perform at the level that they can perform at, and having equal opportunities like other players as well, I don't think that is a problem as well. However, coming from a business point of view, it's a long-term project, and people must be patient. And I hear all these community projects, social responsibilities from big corporates, but I don't see very much on the ground, unfortunately.
But overall, you think that crowdfunding through footiefunder.com to raise money for grassroots football and for smaller teams which are struggling below the Premier League divisions in the world, you think is a good idea?
It's a brilliant idea. I tell you what, I can even go on my laptop now. I'll give you like 600 teams that will be speaking to you tomorrow when they hear this such. For an example, I'll give you an example. In South Africa, we have what you call the Premier League, and there's a Mvela League, which is just one division below. And I was speaking to one of the.
Now we have the championships in England. We have the Premier League, the championships, and
it's like the Coca-Cola Championship, or now it's called the Empower Championship. So yeah, So basically, I was speaking to a lot of managers over there, and I spoke to one guy. He says to me, it's one of the most difficult things is using money from his own pocket to keep a club afloat. And if he doesn't get promotion, that's it. He's bust. His family's got problems. So his football passion as well as his profession is really affected because there's no funding out there. Like you say, banks don't want to hear. The moment you open up your mouth and saying, I want to fund a football club,
Nobody wants to know.
nobody wants to know.
But for a contributor, for example, if my local community in Grace in Essex, for example, in England, if the football team there were to look to raise finance for the project, for their football team, and I was to contribute, what do you think I should be looking for in return?
Look, we mentioned that football is a global sport. We also, teams have a social responsibility to give back to society, to the community. And look, looking at viable projects, sustainable projects that will obviously be monitored in the sense that at grassroots level, kids are really taken off the streets, especially where I come from, East London, where I live.
East London in South Africa, or East London in England?
England, or in Alexandra Township in South Africa.
Alexandra Township in South Africa.
So if Kaiser Chiefs had to come up with something like that, I mean, it's a full good factor. There's lots of money being thrown into football. And I mean, I think they got to take those initiatives to obviously give back in the community one way or the other. And I'm glad this sort of initiative brings in participation as well, which is sort of spreading the opportunities out there. And
Fantastic.
I think teams will be, once they hear or that, and it's a model I think you guys should actually look at markets in Africa as well as in South America. Like, I'm glad you are a global sort of company.
Footiefunder is a global platform for every football club, every team, every community, and backers of those projects will be from across the world as well. The whole idea is if a team or community from Mexico is able to put their pitch on footiefunder.com. Somebody like you from South Africa living in England and East London, or somebody from Germany, Frankfurt, or somebody from, anywhere in the world should be able, looking at the module and the project, be able to contribute to that project. Because the first thing is the love of football and not the locality the project is based.
Yes, absolutely. And look, any person that knows football or that I think 80% or 90% of the world. I'm not very good with statistics, but this is something where I've spoken to quite a lot of people during my travels who ask me, how do I get involved with the Zimbabwe national team, with the South African national team, with the Ghana national team? When do they come into town? How do they do it? And the grassroots level and that kind of thing. So we need people wanting to know about even. I'm sure you guys might even consider about helping coaches and people that are at grassroots level in developing teams as well. And there's a need for that. There's also a gap in the market. And I'm sure that's something that people will actually take with that.
You know, you mentioned about helping coaches. Footiefunder.com is not just about raising finance for football teams. It's about somebody out there wanting to be a coach. Somebody wants to be referee. Somebody wants to do sports management, food nutrition, for sports nutrition, and football, anything to do with football projects. In fact, somebody might just want to shoot a documentary about somebody who is developed through the football ranks. You know, it's anything to do with football. So it's not just about raising finance for football, but finance for any football project.
Right. That sounds fantastic. Like I said, I keep repeating the word fantastic because I'm overwhelmed with this kind of reaction. In my travels, I always hear the same objective: money. We can do this. We can do this. I see
money is the blood of football, they say.
I see dreams shattered day in, day out. I mean, I go to, for an example, we've got a system in England, which is the academy system, whereby every single year, say, they take in new recruits, say, over 18, they decide maybe of about a team of 20, they will only retain about 2 or 3. So there's a lot of discarded footballers there who might think they want to go into coaching, they want to go into forming their own class, and they want to contribute to the sport. They want to contribute to the sport in the highest form possible. However, because of the lack of funding, and especially the problem, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people who turn around and say there's a lot of funding in Football Foundation in London. No, the problem is it's one of those systems whereby whether you fit in or you don't, it's like forcing a round plug into square holes. This is what they're doing because they'll give you the criteria. Oh, you got to have a level 3 certificate. You got to do this, you got to do that. Your community must be like that. So there's lots of barriers along the way. And what you guys are coming, you're actually trying to you are overcoming those barriers.